Okay, this is Brindlewood Bay. We think we're calling it Last Resort, but we'll see how it progresses. I might change my mind in the middle of it. But this is our Saturday group. We're back after a little break, after finishing our campaign arc of The Between. And so I'm excited to get started with Brindlewood Bay. I want to begin by having all of us introduce ourselves for the benefit of anybody watching the video. When I call on you, please say your name, your pronouns, and anything else you'd like for us to know about you. I will start. My name is Jason. I use he or they, and I am the author of Brindlewood Bay, the creator of it, and I'm super excited to run it for my favorite game group. So you all have that distinction now. Let's go to Brian.
I'm Brian. I use he as a pronoun. They also works. And I'm playing LMA, who uses she as a pronoun.
You have a character already. I see character names already. Okay, great. Let's go to Fraser.
My name is Fraser. He, him pronouns, and I also have a character, and I'm basking in the light of favoritism.
Good, we should. How often in life do we get such things, right? Let's go to Sarah. You're muted, Sarah.
Mm-hmm. Hello, I am Sarah. I'm no longer muted. I am using she, hers pronouns, and I'm playing Beatrice Baum. Her name's B to her friends. It wasn't Willoughby as it started out because we're no longer in that sort of universe. I'm really excited to play.
Fabulous, thank you. And Drew.
I'm Drew. I use he, him pronouns, and I will be playing Dr. Calliope Callie Thibault in this super exciting session.
Fabulous, thank you. Okay, so let's do CATS for Brindlewood Bay. CATS, of course, is an acronym that stands for concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. I like to do this in order to establish some basic expectations for what we're going to be doing today and in the campaign. So the concept of Brindlewood Bay. Brindlewood Bay is a role-playing game about a group of elderly women, members of the local Murder Mavens Mystery Book Club, who frequently find themselves investigating and solving, mostly, real-life murder mysteries. They become increasingly aware of supernatural forces that connect the cases they're working on, and in particular, a cult dedicated to the dark, monstrous aspect of the Greek goddess Persephone will come to vex them. The game is directly inspired by the television show Murder, She Wrote, but also takes inspiration from the works of H.P. Lovecraft and all of his descendants, cozy crime dramas, and American TV shows from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It actually has classic TV as a sort of framing device. Our aim, today we're going to begin by creating characters, although it sounds like maybe we have them already, but we'll discuss. After that, we'll introduce them and populate a special part of the character sheet called a cozy little place. After that, we'll take a short break. And then when we come back from the break, we'll have a little beginning of session procedure, a special set of scenes called cozy vignettes, which I'll explain later, and then we'll begin regular play. At the end of the session, we'll have a short debrief. In future sessions, I'll present new mysteries near the beginning of the session, and we'll dive right into regular play. So one thing that's a little different about this game as compared to The Between, which we just played, is that there are no restrictions on talking about your past in this game. So you can talk about anything about your character's past as you wish. We do not, one of our goals as players is not necessarily to explore their past, although we will be exploring their past, but it's not as big a deal as it is in The Between. Our main goal as players, our main aim as players, is to show the town of Brindlewood Bay, much like we would show the town of London in The Between, and to really get to explore the relationships of these women as a group. Because the thing about this game is we're kind of catching these women in the twilight of their lives, right? They've had partners, they've had kids, they had careers, all before Brindlewood Bay. And now they're in Brindlewood Bay in retirement, essentially, and they live alone. And so they are each other's support system and friend network, right? And so exploring the relationship of the women is a really, really big part of this game. And exploring who the characters are as elderly women is another big sort of thing that we do in this game. Also, solving murder mysteries. So those are our aims. The tone of the game bounces between the cozy and the creepy. Most of the time, it will be fairly lighthearted, but occasionally it will get a little dark and menacing. Some kitschy, campy humor is permissible and desirable, and it's very much in keeping with the game's inspirations. But above all, your characters should take everything they do very seriously, even if we are having a laugh from time to time, right? So, subject matter. The subject matter occasionally gets dark and challenging, but rarely. It doesn't happen too often. In order to help ensure that no one's fun is ruined by triggering subject matter, we're going to have some safety tools on the table. We will have the open door policy, the X card, and lines and veils. So the open door policy is very easy. You can leave for any reason. The X card in this context, you just say X card or type it in the chat, and we will stop and basically use the X card if you're objecting to something that's happening in the story. We'll stop and we'll change whatever it is. I might ask what is being X carded just to make sure we're changing the right thing, but I will never ask why is it being X carded. And then we have lines and veils. Lines are things that we are not going to have in the game at all, and veils are things that we prefer to keep. We're okay with it being in the game, we just don't want to role play it. And so my lines and veils, I'll just say them, and I think we all know each other's lines and veils at this point, but just to reiterate, I put sexual violence behind a line, and I put torture behind a veil. Those are going to be my only lines and veils this time. And if everybody else will just fill out that part of the character keeper with lines and veils, just to remind us all, that would be great. I believe the character keeper has a section like that. If not, we'll talk about it later. And with that said, let me go look at the character keeper and see where we're at on character creation. I thought we were starting fresh, but I guess you're all so excited to play.
We had 2 weeks off.
Yeah, you made characters already. It's looking pretty good. Did everybody pick moves and stuff as well? Yeah, you do. You have moves as well. Okay, so straight away, one person has Fox Mulder and one person has Dale Cooper, and that's against the game's rules. So you can, someone has to give up one of those. Those two cannot be in the same game. So whoever, you all can discuss it amongst yourselves.
I can drop the Dale Cooper to add other thoughts in mind. I'll take it.
Okay, good.
I had no other alternative.
Yeah, the reason why I do that is because those two introduce a very strong supernatural element, and I like for only one Maven to be doing that. The story just works better that way.
By the way, nice use of Gordon Shumway as there. That one caught me off guard. I'm like, that name's familiar. Oh, right.
It looks like Granny Duquesne does not. Oh, is that a character? Granny Duquesne does not have a move. Whose is that?
Granny Duquesne is a reference to the albino peacock.
Oh, it's the peacock. Never mind. Okay, that's not a real character. Oh, I see. We're just having a joke. Okay, good. It's a good one now that I think about it. I'm in GMing mode and I'm not catching that kind of stuff right now. Awesome, cool. So it looks like we're all ready to go then. I think what we're going to do is we'll introduce the characters. I want to go around the table and have you all introduce yourselves by name, look, or actually it's called style in this game, name, style, cozy activity, and what your move is. And we'll be talking about some other things after that. I want to just keep it real simple for now. Just name, style, cozy activity, and your move. Let's go from left to right on the character keeper. So Sarah, tell us about B.
Hello, I'll be playing B, Balm. I tried to make this character as cozy as possible. Her style is very Martha's Vineyard. She definitely comes from that sort of society. And her cozy event is charity events for absolutely every society, preservation, or arboretum that there is.
I love it. That's great. And what did you choose as your move?
I refuse to give up Fox Mulder. I'm very excited about that move. And Fox Mulder has always been there for me personally. So very excited.
Yeah, he was a crush for me when I was a kid. I thought he was the best. Yeah, this is an interesting move because what it is, so there's this developing dark conspiracy in the game, right? But you have like kind of an inside line on it, even if you don't know it in the beginning, because you can call upon you can meet up with a shadowy figure who will help you see the connections, right? But we don't really talk about those connections super explicitly, especially in the beginning. But it's fun.
I suppose I could
Fabulous.
read the move if you wanted for
No, it's okay. No, that's
Okay,
fine.
good.
Yeah, it's okay. Just I don't mind giving a little summary of it. Okay, let's go to Callie. So Drew, tell us about Callie.
Dr. Calliope Thibault is a professor from Oxford, moved to Brindlewood Bay a couple of years back. She dresses like she is a professor from Oxford and very office hours. And her cozy activity is scrapbooking. And she actually consulted with Robin Masterson several years ago. So, and a friendship grew. So she has moved Thomas Magnum.
Let's talk about Robin Masterson. So the Mavens are all big fans of a particular mystery book series called the Gold Crown Mysteries. And the author of those mysteries is a woman called Robin Masterson. But Robin Masterson is notoriously secretive and we never see her on screen. But, and so to have the Thomas Magnum move means you actually know Robin, right? And you have access to Robin's resources from time to time. So yeah, but that's sort of the backstory there for anybody watching the video and for us as well. Fabulous, thank you. Let's go to Brian and LMA Washington.
Alrighty, so I'm playing LMA Washington, a former nurse with the move Dr. R. Quincy, and her cozy activity is pottery. After a career in nursing, putting polio at bay, she has taken on, making her own little dark kitsch knickknacks, I guess.
I love it. You have chosen Dorothy Spornak as your style. What does that mean to you? I know what it means to me, but I'm curious what it means to you.
If you think about a potter, your hands are going to get dirty, clay gets everywhere. And once I'm out of the studio, it's a complete wardrobe change. Like, it's got to be clean, tidy, things just so no dirt left under the fingernails, and maybe a little bit of sass and snark to go with, like,
the Dorothy Spornak is about attitude then, not necessarily giant shoulder pads.
Right. Yes.
Good. I like it being giant shoulder pads too, though, as well. I think that'd be great. Lovely, thank you. And let's go to, and we should mention that our Quincy move essentially gives you, like, you kind of, you get this medical bag that goes in your cozy little place and it can never be marked. So let's go to Violet. Hyacinth Fraser, tell us about Violet.
So Violet's style is all of the cardigans, which I think she wears a lot of like diaphanous materials and then shrouds it with the cardigans. And her cozy activity is baking, and I put my stat in vitality, so I imagine she has a little bit more vigor than the others. And I have the move Jim Rockford.
Oh yes, the Jim Rockford move is a lot of fun because it means at the top of every session, you're going to get an answering machine message that's going to give you a special secret mission. And so that'll be a lot of fun. Fabulous, thank you. Now we're going to go back around. And now we want to get a little deeper into your character's history. I want to know from each of you a little bit about your deceased partner, a little bit about your children, if you had any. Pets are okay here. If you do have children, they obviously have to be adults and they should not live with you anymore. And what you did before you retired to Brindlewood Bay. We know that already from some of you, but we'll just say it again. And everybody else should pay close attention, because what we're going to do is we're each going to say something we think could be found in that Maven's home based off everything we know about them so far. This is how we start your cozy little place. And that's the equivalent of personal quarters for people who got in on the between first. So let's go in reverse order. Violet, tell us about your deceased partner, your kids, if any, and what you did before.
I don't think we had kids, but I think that I had a husband who was always referred to as Dick, and we ran like a very small publishing company until we were too old to do so. And I think he died editing a very famous manuscript of some kind, like a great American novel. And I just didn't have the I just didn't want to touch the manual again after that. I could have edited it myself, of course, I'm very competent. But just seeing Dick splayed across those pages, I just didn't want to see it again. And what was the other questions?
Oh, well, what you did before, but I think you told us that, and then what your husband did, and if you had any kids. So.
Yeah, no kids, I think.
Okay. So what does everyone else think might be found in Violet's house in Brindlewood Bay, based off everything we know so far? Including Violet's cozy activities, another good inspiration for that, which is baking, just to remind everyone.
I'm picturing a rolling pin. You know how you can get those ones that are kind of like engraved, like there's a pattern cut into the wood, and the pattern ties into that great American novel somehow.
I love it. I'm going to say that you have an antique typewriter.
I think you have a collection of very fancy fountain pens and inks.
I'm struggling a little bit with this because there was a lot taken there. I'm thinking in line with your numerous amounts of baking that you possibly have the best library of both current and classic cookbooks.
Fantastic. So get all that noted down, Violet, and we shall move on to LMA. So LMA already has a medical bag in her cozy little place. That's part of her move. It can never be marked. So you always can use it to get advantage on a die roll, Brian. But go ahead and tell us more stuff about LMA. Your
Stuff. So deceased partner.
partner. Yeah.
Actually, two, if that doesn't break the game.
No, not at all.
I was going to go with my former husband, Hector Catlett. Kind of works with his hands sort of fellow. Migrant laborer, farmer who ended up becoming a sculptor. I kind of want to pull a bit from art history and say he was deceased in a horrible accident where one of his sculptures fell on him. And then after that relationship ended, a relationship with Jane, a colleague from nursing school days. And then children, I've got Albert, a son. I've not fleshed out a background yet. Can it stay vague for the moment?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I just, any idea like what Albert like does for a living? That might be helpful.
Maybe he follows on as doctor, like gender roles. I was the nurse in the era. He became a doctor in a later era.
Yeah, we'll go with that for now. You can change it later.
Okay.
We can adjust it later if you need to.
Yeah, and then I also have an African gray parrot named Renfield, who has the horrible habit of saying nevermore, and Hector's the one who taught him that. And if you don't know, African gray parrots live an absurdly long time, so I'm kind of trapped with this beast for a while. What else? I was a nurse before the birth of my son, and kind of proud of working on the polio, and giving people the polio vaccine to put that horrible disease at bay.
You must be quite old then, right? I mean, it sounds like
it's the 80s, isn't it? When are we?
No, it's 2021.
Oh, it's 2021. Oh, I thought we were playing in the 80s. I'm 140.
Yeah, you're like really old.
If you inject the polio vaccine with a little dose of ivermectin, like you will never age.
Is LMA an undeniable?
Okay, so maybe I wasn't working on the polio vaccine. I'll find a more I was a nurse. Let's leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Okay, good.
Sorry, I thought we were playing in the 80s.
Yeah. No, sorry, I didn't make that clear. So, but you all didn't wait for character creation, so it's kind of your fault. All right.
It is my fault.
So,
Definitely. Yes. All right. What else did you say? Oh, in kind of retiring from nursing, followed up on that passion the whole time of wanting to be a potter. So I've been doing pottery.
that's good.
There you go.
Great. Okay. I'm gonna actually go with something a little bit outside the box, and you can say yes or no to this, Brian. But I think you actually have like a huge amount of like pride stuff, because maybe you like got super into pride when you started dating women.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pride memorabilia, loads of it.
What was the first partner's profession again? A nurse?
A migrant farm laborer who turned
Oh.
into a kind of a sculptor.
A sculptor. Maybe it would be fun if he passed away. Did he? Maybe he
Statue fell on him.
rough. I think the statue was very well recognized, and he had a key to the city.
Nice. To Brindlewood Bay.
Sure.
I would like to say that you have, again, an extensive collection of pottery tools and wires and carving, implements that perhaps you've collected since your husband's passed.
I think you were quite a keen nurse, so you have a lot of medical texts.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Right. Dr. Thibault, I pronounce that Tybalt, but because that's what my cat's called. Dr. Thibault, tell us about your past.
Calliope was married to Sylvain Thibault, who was a physics professor. They met in various faculty things. And they actually took a tourist trip to Brindlewood Bay many years ago and fell in love with it and decided that that would be where they returned to. When they retired to. And Sylvain died in a bit of mysterious circumstance. He went out on a boat with some friends in London, and the boat came back and no one else did. And at that point, Callie decided to retire early and move to Brindlewood Bay. And she left her son, who is a musician named Michael, in London, but she brought a Great Pyrenees named Anku, who lives with her in Brindlewood. And she was a professor of folklore and literature with a focus on the paranormal, but she is a big skeptic.
Nice, I love it. It's really good. Who has a thought on what's in Dr. Thibault's cozy little place?
Does it needs to be in the room, right? Like it can't be the boat?
Oh, it's okay. It can be, it doesn't have to be like in the house, but it has to be her property, basically.
Drew, can I ask any thoughts on Michael's music role? Like, I don't know, classic jazz, anything?
Punk.
London was calling. He stayed there. But you also studied folklore and stuff as well, right? That was your...
Yes.
Oh, good. Oh, interesting. I have a thought here, but I don't want to I want to save it for just a moment. I want to hear what everybody else says.
I think you need a flying V guitar. One left behind by your son. Maybe when he comes home to visit, it's there so he can practice.
I'm giving everyone collections apparently today, but I would say that because of her skeptic stance, you maybe have collected a bunch of objects that people claimed had supernatural powers, but you in fact collect all the ones that were debunked in your own mind.
You have you have extensive research on London's Hargrave House Foundation.
Yeah, and I'll go with the boat. So maybe you have like the keys or something. I think it would be fun to see how your character relates to the boat, since there's a mystery with it going on.
Does the boat have a name?
I don't know, does it?
I'll think
It's totally a
about it.
joke, but Tebow, if you shift the spelling around, can become the boat.
It's just corny enough to work. I think that'd be good. Very good. I mean, you just like separate them essentially.
Right. It's like the CHIBAULT.
yeah.
And then when people are like Tebow, you're like, no, the boat.
The boat. That's good. Fabulous. Thank you. All right then. B.
So Beatrice never married. She was a doting aunt to many delinquent nieces and nephews over the years that would come in needing money for rehab or this or that, or this education. Oh, they're going back to school for the 3rd degree, that kind of thing. But she did live for many years with a friend of hers from the Arboretum. They're the Friends of the Arboretum Society. And they would go to charitable events. And she passed away a few years ago and now have retired to Brindlewood Bay. I do have a pet. It is a tiger striped Vendel cat named Baby, which is just a joke about my character picture. And even before Brindlewood Bay, I would constantly be involved in whatever charitable events or societal functions and fundraisers, which I keep in the back of my mind for character-wise that she really just knows a little bit about a lot of different things. Anything else? She's a very literal and practical socialite and has very little patience for whimsical thinking.
You must have a very extensive Rolodex then.
And it's a Rolodex.
Yes,
It's not like
literally.
it's not a metaphorical Rolodex. It is in fact a Rolodex. Yeah.
I'm partially playing off the plot of Bringing Up Baby here, but I think you have as a philanthropist, you have a dinosaur bone.
I think you have a Organizer of the Year award from some charity, and it's big and heavy.
That's very good. That's really good. I'm gonna say you have the number to a really good lawyer. Probably with the nieces and nephews, right? You have lots of nephews in peril, I think. So, yeah. Fantastic. And great. Well, now that that's done, we're supposed to take a little break here, but I think I want to talk a little bit about the setting first. So Brindlewood Bay is a coastal town in Massachusetts. It started as an old whaling community back in the 19th century, but later grew into a destination, a resort town kind of thing. It has lots of bed and breakfasts, and it has like a really thriving art scene. It has a very famous fish market, things like that, right? You can take a boat out to go fishing, lots of like organized tours and things like that, right? And it has an off season and it has a tourist season. And I think we're going to be starting in tourist season, even though this series is not called tourist season. And I think, yeah, it is a lot of what we do in this game is just showing your characters enjoying their life in this town. That's a big, big part of the game. And we do that with at the beginning of every new mystery, we do that with a scene called the cozy vignette, where essentially it's like the beginning of the TV show. In the beginning of Murder, She Wrote, we see Jessica Fletcher riding the bike and waving and like typing and doing, it's like that, right? Except we just see each of your characters by themselves enjoying their life in Brindlewood Bay. And so we just do it like kind of a montage. Everybody describes what their character's doing. And the scene should be very brief. It should be light and breezy or warm and cozy, your choice. And yeah, so we'll be doing that pretty quickly after we get back from the break. Also, I want you to take a look at the part of your character sheet that says end of session. So you always just have 3 end of session questions. And this is how you get your experience points. It's the main way you get your experience points. The first one is always the same. Did the murder maven solve the mystery? The second 2 you can pick. It's the same for everyone. So there's no like, you just do whatever you're interested in doing this session in terms of the role play. And try to role play towards that, and you'll get an XP at the end if you do. So go ahead and do that. And we also have, how many moves do we have to resolve at the beginning? Looks like just 1, the Jim Rockford move, right? Okay. So I think we're all kind of set to take our first break. Let's take a fairly quick break. Let's take a 3-minute break, and we'll come back and we'll do those things, okay? And I'll introduce the first mystery. Okay, before we jump into things, on the break, Brian, you said you had revised your thought about LMA working on polio vaccine.
Right. Rather than being a 140-year-old nurse, I figured it would be better to modernize myself. And so in that sense of treating pandemics, I'm going to be a nurse who has worked with HIV and AIDS patients.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. That's great. So let's kick off with our beginning of session move. This is before cozy vignettes. And this is for Violet. Violet, we just see your answering machine. You still have an answering machine. Sitting on your kitchen counter. You're not even there. And the phone rings a couple times. And then the answering machine picks up. And you hear a voice that says, "Miss Hyacinth, you don't know who I am, but it's going to be in your interest to listen very closely to what I have to say. You are soon going to have access to a piece of artwork. You'll know it when you see it. Take it off the wall and remove what you find behind it, and then await further instructions." Beep. And then the theme music kicks in for Brindlewood Bay. Da, 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 da. My best friend is composing a song actually for the Kickstarter. I don't know how it goes yet, but I think it'll be fun. So, cozy vignettes. Let's go around the table and see your Maven enjoying her life in Brindlewood Bay as the opening credits roll. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
We see B sitting outside, just looking out at the bay, filling out thank you cards for everyone who gave so generously to the Bay Puffin Restoration Foundation event that she held last week.
Fantastic.
See Callie walking along the main street of Brindlewood Bay, taking Anku for a walk. Everyone knows I'm probably more a fan of the dog than her, but she gets polite greetings. And she casts kind of a suspicious glance out at the boats at the dock before turning back and spurring Anku into a light jog.
So LMA is, kind of a quick camera cut of throwing the pots while they're wet and then setting out the finished products kind of on the windowsill, smiling at the tourists. And then, that sort of squint-eyed glance over the tourist's shoulder, like, what's that?
Violet?
I think this might be a bit weird, but so I think she is set up, those crap, what are they called? Free library things where they're like little posts with small things. She sets that up, but for pies, and she loads it up with a pie, and it's like randomized every day. So we just see her like sneaking a pie into like, I don't know, something called probably like bite-sized takes or something like that, like all cut up, and she's sort of like trying to set it up so it's like a mystery. Nobody knows who's doing it, but sometimes there's just pie in these random places.
I love it. Thank you all. Your first mystery is called Dad Overboard. Dad Overboard. We present this mystery at the top of the Candlelight Booksellers. You have a little loft space at the top of the bookstore, the top floor of the bookstore, the Candlelight Booksellers, and every Saturday night, you all meet for your weekly meeting of the Murder Mavens Mystery Book Club, because you all have your own hobbies, but you all share this one, mystery books. Paint the scene. As the camera pans around this loft area of the library where you hold your Murder Mavens meetings, what do we see that shows how you have personalized the space?
Did you say library or bookstore?
It's a bookstore.
Through the pan, we see the circle of chairs, but B has had somebody bring up a very antique, high-backed, super like upholstered chair that is different than all the others.
They've solved mysteries before, like actual mysteries. So
They have, yeah. This is not the first one. Yeah.
I think Calliope has made little little scrapbooks of their adventures, and so they're kind of tucked away in a little low shelf there.
I think Violet brings a lot of different candles, and some of them are those kinds that smells like different food.
I already feel like this is going to be a running gag here where I'm like, hamburger candle, come on, Violet. Have you no limits? I feel like we each have our own little teacup, but clearly I made them all. So you've got a custom teacup made by me. You can later on describe how it's decorated and something that's appealing to you.
I love it. Just as your meeting is ending, you hear heavy footfalls coming up the steps to the loft, accompanied by belabored breathing. Clunk, clunk. Ugh. Heaving himself up to the top of the loft. Ugh. Ugh. Is the county's chief law enforcement officer, Sheriff Wyman Dalrymple. I shall type that for you. Sheriff Dalrymple, very big guy, about the same age as you all, jowly. He heaves a heavy sigh and says, "Good evening, ladies. I hope I'm not catching you in the middle of your meeting.
Not at all, Sheriff. We were just finishing.
Good, good. Well, I've got a bit of a situation.
That certainly doesn't surprise me.
He gives you a sideways glance and says, well, we've had a body turn up.
It must be a Saturday.
He says, yes, well, it's true that for some strange reason, Brindlewood Bay does have the highest murder rate per capita in the country. I don't really know why that should be the case. I think that the county's law enforcement is top-notch in the state, but something about the ocean air, I suppose, gets people all riled up for killing. Listen, no one here is more frustrated than me about having to ask a bunch of nosy old women for their help. But I need your help.
I can see how it would be frustrating, your top-notch skills as they are.
He says, well, it's a bit of a strange case. The body is a Mr. Albert Krause. He dragged him out of the bay 2 nights ago.
Albert, that's my son's name.
I hope that's not a grim portent, LMA. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Or it could just be a coincidence. What does Occam's razor say? The simplest solution or something? Anyway, Mr. Krause was apparently vacationing with his family. Their yacht is parked about a half mile out from the pier. The Krauses think that he must have gotten very drunk in the middle of the night and tumbled overboard. And, well, we're looking into it. The difficulty, of course, is that the Krauses are very, very rich, and they want the bodies sent back to Boston ASAP. And I'm doing everything I can to keep the body here. But I can't keep the body here while we conduct our investigation unless I suspect foul play. And we haven't been able to turn up much. I was hoping, since you all have you've been helpful in the past with matters like this, that you might just look into it a little bit. I don't need you to solve the mystery if there's foul play. I certainly don't need you poking around places you're not supposed to be. But I wouldn't mind your insight. I just need a reason to keep Mr. Krause's body here. That's all. Can you help me?
No need to beg, Sheriff.
I was at an event with the Krauses just last week. I can't
Well,
believe that this has happened.
I'm sure you must know Mrs. Krause. She's something of a socialite into fundraising.
Dolores and I have hosted several events together.
Allison, I think, is who
No,
you're
yes,
thinking
yes.
of. Is well, I am told by her that she is the most prominent fundraiser in the state.
She
One of
would
those-
say that.
One of the most distinguished philanthropists, according to her telling.
Yes. Well, perhaps I could
She says
call
no one
her.
really compares to her when it comes to her ability to raise money for charities.
Yes, yes, of course, Sheriff. And no one really compares to your crime-solving abilities either.
Thank
They're
you.
truly the best there are.
I appreciate the compliment, Ms. Baum. So, here are the details. As you know, Brindlewood Bay does not have a morgue. Something that in recent months seems like a bit of an oversight. But so we're keeping the body currently at the fish market. The Krauses have a family friend, Mr. Etienne Beauregard, who currently has the body tucked between some cod and haddock in the freezers. And the Krauses themselves are anchored offshore. Allison, the matriarch of the family, David, eldest son, Sarah, eldest daughter, Emily, youngest daughter. A little question for Dr. Thibault. You know Emily Krause. You have some kind of connection to her. She's young, in her early 20s. What's the connection?
She is a fledgling writer, and Thibault has been providing editing and feedback.
Oh, very good. So you have a connection straight away. Sounds like B does as well through charity fundraising. He says, well, I just need something, anything, just some sort of sign of foul play. I need to know that this wasn't an accident. Their lawyers are giving us a real hard time.
Other than the man's bank account, is there any reason to assume it wasn't a simple drowning?
Well, he did have a pretty significant injury to the back of his head, but that could have happened from landing on a rock or something, I suppose. The waves dashing him against the rocks.
Imagine what we could do with a medical examiner. They'd be able to determine whether it was post-mortem or pre-mortem.
You should take that to the town council. I'm telling you, we need these things in Brindlewood Bay. But, you know, people don't want to see a morgue when they're on vacation, apparently.
They'd rather have the body stuck between cod and haddock.
Well, we're not exactly advertising that, Dr. Thibault. Which brings up a good point. You need to keep this little inquiry just between us as best you're able.
Sheriff Dalrymple, if we need access to your dinghy again, are the keys still tucked underneath that little awning?
I will have one of my deputies take you out to the boat if you wish to go speak to the Krause family, though you might want to do that tomorrow. It is already, well, it's already 7 o'clock, and I'm sure you're all supposed to be in bed by now, yes?
The murder mavens.
Callie will she'll just look up from the notes she's taking.
He leaves. He says, remember, I just need some basic facts. Do not go poking around in order to solve the whole thing. It's not the kind of help I need. No meddling beyond what's reasonably necessary to find out that there's just foul play going on. And he begins going downstairs.
Well, I suppose who killed the man is a basic fact.
The man can't even collect basic facts as part of his job description. It makes me so angry.
Is his position elected from the town?
Yes.
That's funny. If we need to stay up late, I did bring some cupcakes so we can get that sugar rush.
You're always so thoughtful, dear.
Just be mindful of the crash that comes later.
So I will fill in the mystery sheet on our next break with all some of the details I've given you already. But just at the outset here, you know that the body is being held at the fish market in the custody of a Mr. Etienne Beauregard, an apparent family friend. You know that the Krauses are anchored offshore. The sheriff insists you go during the day, or he at least intimated that that's when his deputy would take you. Of course, that doesn't have to stop you. You can get out there if you wish, some other way. Or you can do online research. You can research the problem however you want. Much like the Between, there's no wrong answers in how you begin the investigation. So what do you think?
Just for poetic license here, I'm gonna pull a book off the shelf and kind of thumb through it and say, Callie, isn't there, what's that gold crown mystery, the one with the drowning?
Oh, is that the clue of the scarred tiger?
You're close, but wasn't it there was something, the scarred
The mystery of the Orange Inspector.
That's the one.
Weren't there two people that drowned in that? I could have sworn that the first was the husband and then the wife drowned after that.
If I recall, that was one of the first ones I read. It's been a while. I'm a little, I don't know, memory.
I believe that was the one where the wife faked her drowning to...
Oh, yes. That's right. It was all about the insurance money.
I feel like we're about to find out no one drowned in that one.
I'm gonna, in this moment, reach over and take one of Violet's cupcakes and sort of nibble on it absent-mindedly while with one hand thumbing through the pages of a book.
Indeed.
Perhaps in doing the sheriff's job for him yet again, I might make a phone call to Alison Krause to see what she might be willing to do for an old friend in regards to perhaps keeping the body here an extra day or so, or any details she could recall.
Violet, these cupcakes are delicious. You know red velvet is my weakness.
I do
like
know.
it. So, B, if you do want to call Alison Krause, you can do that. This would be a move called the meddling move, which is how the mavens get information when they're researching things, investigating things. You could mark your Rolodex to get a bonus on the die roll if you wished as well, in which case you would roll 3 dice and take the 2 highest. And I think the relevant ability is probably presence in this case, depending on how you kind of approach it, I suppose. But if it's just a phone call with an old chum, it's probably presence. Do you want to do that?
I think so.
Okay, so go ahead and roll it up. Let's see how it goes.
I'm not going to mark my Rolodex just yet.
Okay, you roll normal. Yeah.
Woof. That is a 5.
5. Let's have the scene.
Why doesn't this phone turn?
She picks up and she says, Beatrice Baum? Is that you?
Allison, Miss, I'm so sorry. I'm overcome. I just heard the news. How are you?
What news, dear?
Well, are you quite well? I heard there was a violent incident.
Oh, Albert. Yes. Very torn up about it, actually. It's just like him to go and get himself killed when I'm on the precipice of charity fundraiser greatness. He could be a very self-involved man, couldn't he? As you know, I'm raising money for the Warriors Ball.
I did hear, and I wrote a very generous check for my 2 seats at that fundraiser, I believe.
Generous is a really interesting way of putting it, B.
Oh,
Yes,
Allison.
we'll say generous.
There's a reason that you seem to wring so many donations out of your members.
Because I'm very, very convincing, B. I was named the most important philanthropist on the eastern seaboard.
Darling, you know that only the very petty brag about their awards.
Well, it's an award. It was just a major newspaper that wrote a piece about me, so not a big deal, I guess.
Yes, of course. And then we just go into petty comparisons for the rest of the conversation.
Until she says, "Oh, B, hold on. There's someone knocking on the cabin door. I'm in Brindlewood Bay, by the way. Did you know that?" And because she puts the phone down and you can still hear what's going on. And she opens the cabin door and she says, "Oh, who are you?" We'll come back to that scene. Dr. Thibault, what are you doing while this is going on? Have you gone somewhere else, or are you doing something else?
Is B making the call from the meeting? Have we all left? Or?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I would think that that would be happening in the moment, seeing if I could get any information. It's 7 o'clock. It's probably, she might be sleepy and give something away.
Then I think that, I think she's brought Anku to the meeting. I think she always does. And she's petting the dog, and I think she will text Emily.
Nice. Good. What do you ask when you text? Or what do you say?
Starting out, it'll be, similar. Are you okay? How are you doing? Is there anything I can do? What happened?
Take the meddling move with presence. See how that goes.
Is it a dictated text message?
Oh, of course, yeah. Every now and again, Siri will substitute the wrong word, and she'll curse and fix it.
Mine doesn't know the word T is a real word. It always wants to correct T, T-E-A. Can you believe that? That's definitely a word, iPhone.
I got an 8.
Okay, we'll come back to that. And LMA, what do? You don't have to stick around. You can go wherever you want. Much like in the Between, your characters cannot die because you have the crown of the queen and the crown of the void to save you.
All right. Is it safe to assume we have some sort of pre-established relationships in town? We can just kind of make up.
Absolutely, yeah. You all live here, and you're all You can make up characters as you wish.
I want to go down to the harbor and find out about. Just sort of talk to, if there's a harbor master, if it's this large a harbor, but find out about kind of when was this yacht in last, when was it resupplied last, have they come here every season, sort of stuff like that.
Sure, yeah. I don't know if it's big enough for there to be a harbor master, but you can definitely go just talk to some locals and just kind of find out more. That's certainly a very straightforward thing to do, and you can take the meddling move with reason, I think.
A 5.
We'll come back to that as well. And Violet, what are you doing?
I wanted to verify that it would be plausible for the body to have washed up when it did, like with the tide or whatever.
Okay, let's say it. Well, how are you trying to find that out?
Is there maybe like the public library or whatever would have those kind of charts available or something?
Yeah, you've only got probably about an hour left to do your research, but you can go in there and do some research. Absolutely.
Well, I can ply her with a cupcake, maybe.
Yeah, let you stay longer. Yeah, that's good. Take a meddling move with reason. So we got to get some dice on the board here, and we'll resolve some stuff.
With reason?
Yep.
Reason. Oh, good. 7.
All right. We will come back to that as well. So B, you're listening to, I think it's just the two, it's just you and Dr. Thibault then at the Candlelight Bookseller still. The other two have gone off. And you can hear Alison Krauss, it sounds, it's in the distance because she's not talking directly into the receiver, but you hear her open her door to the room she's in, and she says, who are you? What do you do? What? And you hear a struggle. And you hear and the thud of a body. And then you just hear the phone click, click, then a dial tone. But if you want to avoid that, you can mark the crown of the queen or the crown of the void in order to avoid this, because it'll bump your die roll up. Let's talk about those two things. This is the first time we're entertaining the notion. So you have the crown of the queen and the crown of the void. This is a little bit like, it's a lot like the Janus mask in the between. Essentially, it allows you, if you mark one of these things, we see a different timeline. So we bump up your die roll and something different happens in the fiction. And the crown of the queen is all about exploring your maven as a woman. And the crown of the void is all about your maven slipping deeper into the ultimate big bad conspiracy, the dark occult conspiracy that is overhanging the game ultimately. Or you can just let this go if you think it would be cool for Allison to be dead in the story. It's up to you.
I think because I have failed so purposefully and I didn't take any sort of advantage, even though I could have, this has just happened. And B is on the phone and covers the receiver when Allison puts down the phone and just keeps telling Dr. Thibault, oh, somebody's at the door. Oh, I hear a struggle. And she's trying to voice text. And so occasionally my conversation is also being dictated. And then we hear her die and I gasp and I immediately run to her and I don't know what happened.
It just one moment, dear. I'm trying to Siri, cancel. And then she'll go, we should are you sure you should go to the boat? She gather the others and go to the boat. I will stay here.
But you
on
wouldn't
dry
come to the
land.
boat? On dry land.
You could borrow my boat.
Well, I don't know how to drive a boat.
Yes, that is a problem.
Dr. Thibault, your message to Emily got sent anyway. And what was your die result? Was it mid?
8.
Okay. And you, as soon as it hits send, you hear down below in the bookstore a little doo-doo. And then you hear tap, 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 tap. And then you get a message that's, Dr. Thibault, so great to hear from you. I'm actually in Brindlewood Bay right now.
And she'll pick herself up off the chair and lean over the railing, looking down, and she'll say, Emily?
Dr. Thibault? From down below.
Yes, dear, come on up. Stairs are at the back.
And you can hear her coming up the stairs. And this is awkward because B just heard her mom get killed. so that's the complication, basically. But we'll come back to that moment. Okay. LMA, you got a miss. You've been poking around the bay. I think I want to talk about Brindlewood Bay as a town real briefly. Let's do a paint the scene here. Kind of big picture paint the scene. It's a busy time of year in Brindlewood Bay. Tourists are all over the place. I'm curious, in what ways, LMA, are the tourists making it difficult for you to conduct your investigation?
It's not that I'm a celebrity, but there's a bit of that. People come here for a certain quality of pottery, and if I don't have more work out, they get put out, and then it, it ends up in the Yelp reviews, and I feel kind of obligated to create more, and I'm questioning, should I take on some kind of like hireling? Do I need a younger artist to work for me to just sort of belt this stuff out in my style? And that just feels like it's not what my work is about, really.
I love it. Let's just talk to everybody at the table here. How do the tourists make it hard for you to solve crime? Or anything that you do, Brindlewood Bay. Why do you hate tourists? If so.
I think B is a very purposeful walking woman. She has a very distinct stride that during the tourist season, it's like being in a crowded mall on Black Friday. You just are constantly up against I can't pass, and the sidewalks and the streets and the people everywhere. It's just impossible to get anywhere.
I think they're equally as nosy as well. Like they want to know exactly what's going on, and they're a little too friendly. And probably some of them are correspondents with newspapers or something too.
I think Callie is one of those people who takes her dog almost everywhere, and she is really tired of hearing, is that a bear or a dog? Is that a horse or a dog? And everyone wants to pet the dog, and everyone just rushes over to see Enku, and she is often forced to just, no, excuse me, we must be going, and push her way through.
Does the dog like the attention or not?
Oh yeah, she loves it.
LMA, you've been kind of asking around, in particular asking around about the Krause family yacht, the Regal Lady, is what it's called, and not really getting anywhere with it. Sounds like a boat of that size can't even pull in, which is why it has to anchor out ashore. And you're just about ready to give up on this line of inquiry when you find your path suddenly cut off. You're in an alleyway, taking a shortcut, and you see someone standing in front of you in the dark, silhouetted by the moonlight. Their voice is disguised, so you can't tell if it's a man or a woman. But you see the distinct, unmistakable glint of metal. They're holding a gun on you. And they say in their disguised robotic voice, you need to stop asking questions about the Krause family. What do you do? Actually, roll the night move.
Oh.
The night move reads, when you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve.
All right. Another game question. Do I have the option to mark a Crown of the Void to turn this into a success, or no?
After the fact, I mean, to turn the night move into a success, after you roll, you can bump it up.
Okay, but the earlier.
You can bump that one up too. If you want to avoid this completely, you can bump that up as well.
No, let's. All right, I like that somebody's got me at gunpoint already. We're like 10 minutes into this episode. Already...
Right. Yeah.
So sorry. I'm to sort of describe what's at risk. What are
you afraid is going to happen right now if you lose your nerve?
My brain is on the between here. Well, obviously I can get shot, but that seems too mundane. let's make we're at an angle kind of facing from the harbor up the hill. I get shot, but the bullet flies through me and strikes an amazing urn that I just put out in the display window, and like takes out the window and the urn, and I got to go to the hospital.
It's worse than that. You're also dead and your urn is shattered. You can avoid this entirely if you just turn around and go back to join the other mavens. But if you want to face this person down, or if you want to try to find out anything about them, or just continue your investigation out here in town, you got to roll.
I've been a nurse on the wards long enough. I've seen gunshot wounds. I'm going to face this down.
Go for it. Roll with composure.
What is my composure? I have a 6. I feel like it's time for a crown of the void. It's time.
The
for
robotic voice says, "Oh, I can tell you're not really taking me seriously at all. We're going to have to rectify that." And you hear, actually, you don't hear anything, but we hear the little of a silenced bullet. Your brains splatter against the glass of your shop.
Is the urn okay?
The urn is fine, except he walks up, steps over your dead body, and smashes the window and smashes the urn. Just to be a dick, to maybe make it look like a breaking and entering kind of situation, right? Unless you want to mark a crown of the queen or the void.
Yeah, it feels, a little early in the game for mortality. So would be happy to mark that. And I'm ready for some dark stuff. So I want to mark the shadow in the garden.
Very good. We'll come back to that. We'll revisit that scene. Violet, you're at the library, and the volunteer librarian is a woman named June Willoughby. She is old Brindlewood Bay money. She doesn't even need this job. In fact, it doesn't pay anything. She does it just because that's what one does. And she's a very tight-lipped, tight blonde hair, very, very pretty, but even at her age, she's a very, very lovely woman. And she says, "So what's this all about, Violet? Why are you investigating, or why are you looking into the movement of the tides in the middle of the night?"
And I absolutely just lodge into a story about my writing a fictional story that has to do with the timing of the tides, and maybe some really dry, famous sailor person who I just go into every granular detail about everything until she just is sort of shut up.
Yeah, she'll be okay. What's really going on, Violet? You can't really expect me to believe a story like that. I thought your husband was the writer.
You know very well I, on the side, have written fantastic pieces. I just choose not to have them published.
She says, right, okay. And she sort of says, "Well, you need to hurry because I got to close up in a little bit. Maybe I can help you."
Absolutely. I need this specific chart.
She's getting the things that you need. And yeah, I think you're looking into this, and that part of it basically checks out. Yeah, the body would have been brought in. It's there's nothing really unusual about that aspect of it. But while you're there, you're looking at June's cell phone, which is on the desk. And she just got a message, or she has a bunch of unanswered messages from and A. Krause. Could be Allison, could be Albert. What do you do?
I imagine the charts are probably in those like cardboard roll things, right? I think when I reach for one, I accidentally spill a bunch of them. So she would have to like bend down and grab them. And then I try to take a look at the text quickly.
Yeah. You'll discover very, very quickly that Albert was having an affair with June Willoughby.
Juicy.
She's a Willoughby, by the way.
Oh, and also I know why else I hate the tourists. They're one of those people that go around to the pie things that I leave out and they eat more than one piece. Always. Can I take a picture of the text with my phone?
Yeah.
And then I'll no, I think that overplays my hand. I'll just help her pick up the tubes. But I'm like absolutely a buzz and a quiver with the secret.
Yeah, so these are old text messages, and it seems like they were having some kind of affair or something was going on. It seems like, but she wasn't responding to him. So it's almost like she didn't want to talk to him, right? So that could be an important detail too. But in any case, you have your first clue. Albert might have been having an affair. So the complexity of this mystery is 6. Now, unlike in the Between, which has specific questions that you're trying to answer, the question is essentially always the same in Brindlewood Bay: who did the murder, right? And so it's complexity 6, and whenever you have enough clues, whenever you wish, you can attempt to do what's called theorize, which is you all discuss what you think is the answer to the mystery. In Brindlewood Bay, there is no canonical solution. The answer to who did it is whatever you all come up with, and then you roll some dice to see if you're correct. And so that is your first clue. I do owe you a bit of a complication, though, which is that June will say, "Violet, can I confess something to you?"
Of course.
She says, "Well, I have a friend who got in town a few days ago, and I don't really know how to handle it, because it's kind of one of those things where, well, let's just say he and I are not exactly being faithful to our respective spouses. You know what I mean?"
Of course, I'm not judgmental, you know.
But I'm ready to put an end to it. I don't want this drama anymore. What do you think I should say to him? I mean, I think he's maybe getting the picture because I haven't heard from him in a couple days, but
The kids say that this is called ghosting. It only sometimes works. Sometimes they're very persistent, and you have to draw a very big line. At least, though, with the tourists, they are by their very nature gone quite quickly. However, if he's being persistent, I think you need to put your foot down or draw the line or whatever you like.
I want you to do the night move, because you are clearly lying to her.
Yes.
Like, you know what's actually going on.
Yes.
What are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve here, if you F this up?
She sees right through me, and then by the chain of logic, she like puts together more than I'm willing to give away.
It's worse than that. She thinks that you are fooling around with him.
Okay.
Roll the night move. Or you can just be like, I don't know, and then leave and avoid this entirely. But if you want to keep up the lie, you got to roll.
Yeah, I'll keep up the lie. Composure. Ooh, 8.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Dr. Thibault and B. Emily comes up. Emily Krause is She kind of like she's a little awkward, to be honest. She wears like kind of very cheap looking flannels and kind of ripped up jeans. She certainly doesn't look like she comes from money. Doesn't wear much makeup, and she's kind of a you will know, Dr. Thibault, you will know her to be kind of like a just kind of a nerd, you know. And but she comes up and she's like, Dr. Thibault, it's so good to see you. And she goes to give you a hug and everything, and then she'll see you be and say, oh, I'm Emily Krauss.
Oh, yes, of course, dear. I'm
She's
very good friends
is
with
everything
your
okay?
mother. Yes, yes, I'm sorry. It just had just a little bit warm in here. I'm going to sit
You don't look
down.
like yeah. I don't know. You both look like there's something kind of going on. Did I walk into something? Or...
No, dear, I was just a little overcome, and the doctor here was a little worried. I need to sit. I am not well at all, and fainting couch fame from this
Yeah.
entire situation.
I'm debating whether I want to make you roll or not. I don't think so. I'm just going to roll forward with the scene. She says, well, yeah, so I'm probably a little in a weird kind of a weird place too. This Dr. DeBow, this is so strange. And I don't mean to like change the energy in the room or anything, but my dad died a couple days
Yes.
ago, we think.
Yes, dear, we heard, and I'm
You heard?
so
People...
sorry. Oh, we have our ear to the ground here in Brindlewood Bay. We
Oh.
hear things most don't.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty effed up situation. I was just, trying to take my mind off of it. Well, so, well, it's good to see you.
Yes, yes, dear. Did you get to the mainland yourself?
The mainland.
Did you take a boat from
How did I
your
get to?
yacht?
Oh, how did I get to town? Well, so that sheriff keeps coming out, and I just rode in with him. Um, and came
Perhaps we
back.
could drive you home. I
Um,
have a boat.
oh,
Yes, B?
oh.
Are you well enough? Perhaps some sea
Oh,
air will...
yes, some fresh air is precisely what I need right now. Oh, yes, yes, of course. How tragic for you, dear. Is there anything else we can do?
No, I appreciate the ride back. Let me just go pay for these books. But yeah, and she's going downstairs. She's like, it's the weirdest thing. I mean, the sheriff thinks that like someone actually like killed my dad. I guess his body washed up or something. And I don't know about all that. My mother insists that he just got drunk, but well, I probably shouldn't say anything. Let me just go pay for these books.
We can talk more on our ride.
She's
And when Emily's out of shot or out of earshot, she'll turn to B and say, perhaps we should call the sheriff.
Well, at the very least, we should call the sheriff about her mother.
That's what I'm speaking of. Yes, of course.
Oh, yes, yes, of course. I'm sorry. It was a terrible phone call. Go with her downstairs and see what books she's buying. And I'll call the sheriff quickly from upstairs and relay the salient details of us not meddling and getting involved at all.
Yes, you do that.
the books she's buying is the clue. She's buying books about estate planning and probate disputes. That's your clue. Yeah, how to contest a will 101. Well, LMA, you have marked the crown of the void. So what happens is instead of you getting shot, you get a 7 to 9 on the die roll. I'm going to just give you a condition. I'm going to give you a shaken condition, but you will otherwise be able to get out of this situation safely. Per the rules of the game, you can't actually learn who's holding a gun on you. They always stay cloaked in darkness, but you can wiggle out of this situation. What does that look like?
I'm going to look over the shoulder of the person with the pistol and say, Harold, that is quite timely. Thank you for arriving. Harold is not there at all, but that's when I duck down behind a boat and scuttle the hell out of Dodge.
Good, good. I love it. Take a shaken condition now, but you're otherwise okay. And you slip away from whoever's holding a gun on you in the dark. Good, good, good. I love it. Let's cut over to Violet. So Violet, what did you get on your die?
A mid result
Okay.
7 or 8. 8.
Yeah. So you succeed. What were you trying to actually do? Like trying to convince her to?
I was just lying since I know that the guy is dead, but she
Yeah.
doesn't, and I
Oh,
know
yeah,
that
yeah.
she's having her.
Yeah.
I know who she's specifically tossing about with.
I'm going to give you a condition, which is close confidant. Meaning June, at least, is going to think that she can confide in you in the future, maybe even at inconvenient times. And so let's just keep that scene going. She says, well, so you just think I should just like, just be straightforward with them and just say, I want to call this off, or what?
If he continues to persist, then yes. But if you've successfully ghosted, as the kids say, then you need do nothing. But it just depends on this person's personality. As I deliberately think ahead of myself not to say the name of the person.
She says, thank you, Violet. Well, I didn't realize you were so easy to talk to. I feel like we're having a breakthrough right now. Do you feel that?
I feel something.
She's like, well, good. Well, I'm glad I got that off my chest. Are you going to the Abner's Halloween party next month? Or to the Vidals, rather. The Vidals Halloween party next month?
Oh, I imagine that even if I didn't feel like it, one of my troop would drag me along.
Like, I mean, I personally, those Vidals, I mean, their taste is so gauche. Not Brindlewood Bay at all. But, you know, what are you going to do? We have to be sociable, don't we? Even to our recent transplants.
If they're not broke, they're baroque.
And she says, well, I need to lock up. And she's ready to send you on your way.
And I scuttle out, hurrying.
Yeah. Well, so Dr. Thibault and B, are you going to actually take her out to back to the yacht? That's a good excuse to get out there, I guess.
I think so. Hopefully with the sheriff coming shortly behind.
He might be a pain in the ass, though. You might be able to get more done without him.
Is this a moment where I should, in ducking away from hiding behind boats, encounter you, or no?
You could probably stumble on them getting ready to go out. All of you can be together if you want. That's perfectly fine by me.
Hold the boat, just a minute.
I did say at the end of the scene that I was going to call the sheriff. So with my personal dislike of the man, I guess I have to decide if I actually did or not.
It's up to you.
For
You
him.
can, but
Yeah.
If he's even taking hours, he seems like a
I like
noon
that.
to 3 person.
I tried calling him 3 different times, just quickly hanging up when
No
and then
answer,
dialing
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And then I'll relay to Dr. Thibault downstairs. I wasn't able to get him on the phone. We should go and look.
And if we find another body?
There is more mystery. I don't know. But we can't have this poor girl and hopefully who's just standing at the edge of the water at this point while two old biddies are whispering to each other. But we can't have her stumble across the body on her own.
But, oh, if her mother is dead, we can't keep that a secret from her.
And aren't you delivering her to the place where her mother would be killed?
She deserves to know. It's her mother.
No witness, separate things.
Perhaps she's not dead yet, and we can turn this around.
That's true. I'd hate to think that we sat here as the poor darling bled out or something.
Precisely.
Emily says, what's going on? Are we about to go or what?
Oh, yes, I'm deathly afraid of the water, and my friends are helping me through this.
But you own a boat?
It's not mine. I inherited it.
I mean, it has your name on it. Tibbo.
Husband's name. Yes, he's was very clever.
We
It's just
also
your name. How's that clever?
Yes.
she
well.
thinks it's the correct spelling, probably.
Let's, shall we? Onto the boat.
I change in to like I have a big purse and I have my keens, which are boating sandals, if you don't know.
Ella, may I assume you're there as well?
Yes, but changing into some Sperry topsiders.
Very good, very good. Well, we can just fast forward to you getting to the Regal Lady. I think that's fine. It's nighttime at this point. It's probably like close to 9 o'clock. And you can see, you know, the white yacht stands out in the moonlight pretty starkly. And the boat pulls up to the side, and an old man leans over the railing looking down at you all, and he says, "Who is that there? Don't you know it's already 9 o'clock?" And Emily says, "Andrew, it's me. It's me." She says, That's our butler."
I'll cry out. Violet brought cupcakes.
And Emily says, "Andrew, just drop the rope ladder. We'll climb up." And Andrew says, very well, very well." And you hear a clunk, clunk, clunk as the ladder goes down. She says, "This can be a little tricky. Are you all okay to climb this?"
And I think Callie is halfway up already, just like hanging on to the ladder for dear life.
Or do you hang on and then insist that the butler pull you up?
No, she's very eager to get up there.
She's very excited to climb the ladder, considering she's scared of water.
Well, she's getting away from the water, dear.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Well, after you.
Does Andrew subsist off gold coins as he ferries you about?
She's like, "Oh, is that like a mythology reference?"
Something
Yes, dear.
like that.
Callie will call back.
You eventually will all awkwardly climb the ladder onto the
B
deck.
is one of those people that does one foot and then the next foot and then does the wiggle and then the other foot does the wiggle.
I give Andrew one of those fake gold coins, like the chocolate ones.
He says, "Madam, this is my job. I don't require a gratuity." He puts it back in your hand.
How rude.
As you step up onto the Regal Lady, and maybe even as you're sort of invited down to below decks to where the living spaces are, a paint the scene question. Being on the Regal Lady, how do you know that these people have way more money than they know what to do with?
Oh, they have like gilding on sections of the boat that would be struck with water and so would rust rapidly, and so they have to be cleaned far more often.
Towards the prow of the ship, they actually have set out an area in which there are many planter boxes and topiaries, and they've actually arranged a garden on the deck of their yacht.
Designer life jackets hung on the wall.
And I'm picturing a wine refrigerator that is larger than the cabins are on a typical ship.
Nice. Good, good. So Emily says, well, this is where I live. Can I get you anything? Maybe you want something to drink, like I don't know, like a hot drink or something before you go. Thank you for the ride.
Of course, dear. A warm drink would be lovely, but may I ask where the little girl's room is?
She's like, oh, yeah, sure. Okay, follow me. I'll take you down, and she'll take you down below decks. What about the rest of you? What are you doing?
I request a fine rooibos because it is caffeine free.
Andrew says, tea then for everyone.
A hot toddy for me if it's not too much trouble.
No, madam, it won't be.
Oh, and is Mrs. Krause here? I had a very challenging phone call with her, and we couldn't quite connect earlier today.
I think she's already retired for the evening, ma'am. She's went into her room several hours ago and has not come back out. I assume she's gone to sleep.
How unfortunate. I missed her yet again.
Yes, well, perhaps if you were here during a normal time of day, you would be able to talk to her.
I have nothing to say to that. I look out at the water.
You hear from the rear part of the yacht, you hear a young man yell in your general direction. Andrew, are you going to bring me my vodka tonic, or do I have to wring it from my hat?
Andrew, let me bring that to him. I'm, just if I can hold a drink in each hand, and you've got enough on your hands right now.
He says, thank you. And he he will go to get your hot drinks, leaving three of you at least topside. And sounds like Dr. Thibault was Dr. Thibault going down below. So what are you doing in the meantime, Violet?
I am inspecting the guardrails to see if there's any hint of foul play.
You can take that roll. Do the meddling move with reason.
Six.
6. We'll come back to that. What are you doing, B, in the meantime?
As I am looking out across the water and trying to see the dark edge of the horizon, I'm trying to cast out and look to see if there are any other boats that are moored in the area, or if there's like other signs of traffic or other suspects, perhaps.
Yeah, take the meddling move with reason.
Oh, thank God. 10.
10. Hey, the dice were kind finally. And Dr. Thibault, you'll be shown to a sort of bathroom, kind of off a hallway, but you'll glimpse other rooms and things as you're walking by. Maybe an office. There appears to be an art gallery, strangely, in the in the boat. What do you do? She'll leave you to it and go. She'll leave you on your own.
She will close the bathroom door for a moment, listen for Emily to leave, and then creak open the door, look around, and start prowling down the hall, saying, "Mrs. Krause, Mrs. Krause, are you here?"
Do the meddling move with composure.
Five.
Mm. So LMA, you go to the back with the G&T, or V&T, I guess. And there is a jacuzzi on the rear of the boat. It's illuminated with like wild, like, or it's got like lights that change colors underneath the water, so you're kind of seeing those lights and the bubbling of the water. And there is a young man sitting in it. The water is all the way up to his like eye line. He's sunk down below at that level. He's not wearing a hat. And he rises up. He says, "Oh, hello. And who are you?"
Say, well, here, dearie, I, this time of night, I prefer a hot toddy over a vodka tonic, but I can see, given your age, jacuzzi, the vodka tonic seems more appropriate. I brought this along. Andrew was.
Yes, thank you. Great, terrific, wonderful. Who are you?
Oh, I'm Miss Washington.
Miss Washington, not ringing a bell. Are you a friend of my mother's? Are you a townie?
Oh, I've been here a while. I know your mother distantly. Yeah. Came out with friends to the boat. It's lovely.
I suppose you're here to sort of express your condolences about my father. Is that what this is about?
Oh, I heard about that. I didn't know him personally, but tell me how are you doing? You've gone through a lot in such a short amount of time for a young man of your age.
So, I'm okay. My father and I weren't very close, so it's very sad. But
any
I'm
sense of
managing.
impending doom? Like, how did it just came up out of nowhere?
Well, he's he was mostly a very let's just say predictable man, and this is definitely the most interesting thing he's managed to do in the last few years. Too bad there was a certain finality to it.
It's been a while since I lost my parents, but
do you know art?
Do I know art? Look at these hands. These hands know art.
By the stains on your fingernails, I'm guessing you do some sort of decorative craft sort of thing.
Craft is that's a borderline
Let me
insult.
clarify. Do you know the fine arts?
Yes, I do, Sonny.
No. Well, then you've heard of my gallery then in Boston. I'm a gallerist.
In Austin?
Boston.
Boston. Oh, Boston. I thought you said Austin.
Austin is not really an art town, I'm afraid.
No. I tend to deal more with sculpture than paintings. So
I display all sorts of things.
Well,
sculptures, paintings, performance art, even.
But what's something you sold recently? Name someone I know.
Oh, so that's what we're doing then, huh? We're sort of, I don't know. I just think that's all a little vulgar, don't you? Talking.
Right. Out of character here, I'm looking to see if they're going to be like, oh, well, we just sold a such and such for so much money. But
oh yeah, I know what you're doing. He's just not playing along.
What's my angle?
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Violet, you're gonna miss, right? Someone bumps you and you go falling over the side into the water. Splish splash. You're safe. You're not dead or anything. But what are you doing?
I'm making a scene. My cardigan is drowning me. Yeah, I'll use my mask, the crown of the queen.
Oh, to avoid that.
Yeah.
Instead, then, actually, no need. Save your crown. You are standing over the railing, and there's a shadowy figure behind you. Could be anyone on the boat, timing wise. And you can tell the audience at home knows they're about to see you either get killed or tossed overboard or something. But before that can happen, we're going to have a commercial break. Now, commercial break is a special rule in the game. I can offer you a commercial break opportunity, and if you take it, your roll changes to a 10 plus. But all you have to do is narrate the commercial. And so we're going to take a regular break, a real life break, so you can think about it. But your commercial break prompt will be furniture store liquidation sale. We'll take 5, come back and hear your commercial. So before we resume play, I do want to just say that I have filled out the mystery sheet now. And so you currently have 2 clues, and you have, in this game, we have suspects. And so our suspects currently are Allison Krause, wife of deceased, although she's now dead. So I don't know what that means. David Krause, or we think she's dead. David Krause is the son who we just met. Emily Krause, the youngest daughter, a student of Dr. Thibault. Sarah Krause, you have not met yet. She's the oldest daughter. Andrew, the butler. Etienne Beauregard, who you have not yet met, but you know about, a family friend keeping the body on ice. And June Willoughby, an old money bear, apparently having an affair with Albert, although she doesn't really seem like she knows what's going on. But in any case, she is a potential suspect. And so let's just continue then. I'll also note here that before we kind of begin, before we wrap up the session, once per session, you get to do the Gold Crown Mysteries move, which is essentially you declare, this reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacourt. Amanda Delacourt is the heroine of the Gold Crown Mysteries mystery novels. And you have to tell us a little bit about the book in question, and then tell us how Amanda got resolved the situation. And by doing that, you get a 12 plus on the next relevant role. Usually it's the information move, but it could be something else. And or alternatively, you can just declare something to be true about the situation. So.
And that Amanda Delacourt move that we take is something that we discuss as a group, right? That's a group move.
Yeah, the Gold Crown Mysteries move is a group move. Like
okay.
if one person chooses to do it, then it's for the whole group, and it can only be done once per session. So, but it's like a win button basically. And so you have that to spend as well before the session ends. But let's go ahead.
With the Thomas Magnum move, does that open up a second use for me or for everyone?
Oh, so you have a move that lets you use it twice then?
Yes.
Oh, yes. So no, it can be used twice now because of your presence in the game. So you got 2 uses of this to spend in like 30 minutes. So, but hey, this is the time. You are on the yacht. You are doing the thing. So, Violet, if you do the commercial break opportunity, your roll will be bumped up to a 10. You can still mark your crown to bump that up to a 12 if you wanted to, but it's up to you because that will reveal a void clue by doing that. In any case, our commercial break. Take it away, Fraser.
And what was the prompt again? The furniture liquidation?
Furniture store liquidation sale. Yeah, everything
Yes.
must go.
So I think there's like a spotlight on a man who's dressed like a old king holding the skull, very like Shakespearean, and he's giving out a very like a line from a Shakespearean play until he gets to the point where he says, "I'm so sad that and he throws the skull away and he says, "I'm slashing my prices." and then it's the Barnes furniture liquidation sale, and then and then he just goes he like points to different furniture pieces, and like there's a slash that comes across as he's doing it, and then it's like says the actual price.
Is it like a medieval sword, like a kind of situation, slashing the prices?
Yeah, it's like the cheesiest CGI type thing as he slashes the thing with the sword.
Nice, good. I love it. So instead, we see this dark, shadowy figure creeping up behind Violet as she's leaning over precariously over the edge of the railing, and the shadowy figure steps into the moonlight, and it's Andrew with your Roibus. He says, "Your Roibus, madam."
You're such a treat, Andrew.
He says, he takes the tray after you take your tea and excuses himself. "But I do owe you a clue because you got a 10+. So let's talk about your clue." Da, 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 da. You were kind of checking out the railing, right, to see if anything looked amiss or there was like a struggle or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't notice anything about the railing, but you do see a wristwatch that has fallen down into a little crevasse. The wristwatch is set. Well, it's either broken or it's either broken or it's just not set to the right time, because it's showing a time that is like 3 hours ahead, essentially like midnight, even though it's like closer to 9 o'clock. So
If it's a boating watch, they work off of motion, so it could have gone that way.
yeah, I don't know, but in any case, you have this wristwatch set to the wrong time. That's your clue. It is I think it's unclear if it's a man or woman's wristwatch. I think it's kind of a sporty wristwatch. So yeah, I can note that down. Oh, somebody did, great. And let's cut back over to B. What were you doing?
I had been looking out into the dark waters of the bay to see if I could find any other boats or witnesses or other suspicious things out there.
Yeah, what did you
I
get on your
rolled a
die?
10 on the dice, but I have +1 to my reason. And I'm
Okay.
considering that bumping that up to a 12 because the dice have been so terrible today.
It's up to you.
I think I will make my it's not a mask, what is it? The Crown of the Void, and
Okay.
add some shadowy things to these interactions.
Very good. You get a 12+. Okay. So if we read the move, it says on a 10+, or on a hit, you get your clue, as we've been doing. On a 7-9, there's a complication. So on a 10, there's no complication. On a 12+, you also find a void clue, or you learn something about the dark conspiracy in Brindlewood Bay. My choice. I'm going to give you a void clue. You're looking out into the water, and you see what appears to be like a silvery glint in the water. It's a little hard to make out because it's nighttime. But as you're looking at the silvery glint, you realize it's huge amounts of fish, dead, floating on the surface around the yacht. And they have streaks of something coming from their mouths. Some kind of strange oily fluid that they're sort of floating around in. Who knows what that means, but it's your void clue. But you get a regular clue as well, the ones that count for solving the mystery. And that, let me take a look at it. This is pretty straightforward. There's a little like rug or mat where you're standing, maybe to prevent somebody from slipping if they were doing some kind of work on that part of the top side of the boat. And you realize as you look down that your feet kind of stick to it a little bit. And when you go to investigate, you realize that there's like coagulated blood soaked through in the rug, and you're put enough pressure on it to make it tacky again. But yeah, it's a rug caked in blood. That's your clue. Let's go back over to Dr. Thibault. Dr. Thibault, what'd you get on your die roll?
A 5.
A 5. I'm going to take over the fiction for a little bit. I think you see an open door to an office. And boy, oh boy, if there's a financial thing going on here, the office might hold some secrets. You go inside. And before you can even do anything, the cabin door slams shut behind you, and you hear a as you're being locked inside. What do you do?
After
How do you
trying
feel?
the
How do
handle,
you feel first?
terrified.
Take terrified as a condition.
After trying the handle and finding it fruitless, and she'll pat along the wall for a light switch, or
Yeah, you can.
and she'll see the room that she's in and go, maybe not so bad. And she'll start poking around. I think she'll go for a filing cabinet if there's a filing cabinet.
Sure. We'll come back to that. So LMA, David Krause is kind of going on about his art and like his gallery. And the conversation will eventually like wander over to his father again. And he's like, I'm reminded, of course, of the great performance artist Galbai. Do you know Galbai? Well, of course you don't. He was so committed to his work, he threw himself from the top of a 5-story building, the ultimate artistic expression, I think. If only my father's death could have been so significant. He lacked vision.
Let me tell you about art and death. My husband Hector died for his art. And
Oh,
you look at this as an artistic expression, and Sonny, this was an accident if I've ever heard of one. If you're going to be a gallerist, I feel like vodka is sort of it's a drink that it attempts to be highbrow, but it reveals something a little different. And gin to me is more of a classy cocktail if you're going to be sipping a thing. And so
I
feel
didn't know
like
you were a mixologist, Miss Washington.
I've had some experience with both art and booze in my time, and there's a few things this many times around the planet that you pick up, and you'll get there. I can tell you'll get there. But this Garibo, what was his name?
The performance artist
Galbai, yes. Performance art is just theater without a script. That's really all it is. It's not art. It's an attempt at art.
You said your husband
always falls short.
Your husband died for his art. What did he
Yes,
do?
indeed. Yeah.
What sort of art did he do? Did he do crafts as well?
Oh, no. Sculptures. Large bronze pieces that you might see in public squares here and there. They're made for the people, but by the people for the people, sort of sculpture.
And how did he die? If you don't mind my asking.
It's been so long. What they say is one of the support beams holding up the structure gave way during the casting, and I don't know if I believe that to be true. I've seen and read a few things about murders in my time, and I can see malfeasance from a long way off, if you know what I mean.
He was crushed by his own statue.
Crushed. Some people say crushed, some people say burned to death. It was a bronze casting. Like, it's hard to say where the weight and where the heat did the damage. Truthfully, it was a gruesome end. He was a kind man, though. I miss him dearly.
The resultant statue or metal or whatever, is that available to purchase somewhere?
Ooh, you are one morbid collector.
Well, I just find that, it's a very, very compelling story, Ms. Washington. I feel compelled.
Let me just say, we buried him with his sculpture. It was a large plot.
What a shame. Why are we still talking? Why are we still here?
You haven't given me a clue.
I'm going to enjoy my pedestrian beverage now, Ms. Washington. I continue my soak, if that's all right. I'm still kind of getting over my father's death. You understand, right?
Am I an out of character here? Do I have a cell phone with the internets on it? Can I look up his gallery? And
sure, yeah.
All right, I'll do a little beep boop on the beep boop and deliberately typo the name to try and find another gallery with that. Did you mean such and such gallery?
He'll say, yes, that's my spot.
Well,
we're sort of between exhibits right now.
I'm lost on where to take the conversation at this point.
You can tell that it seems a little defunct. There's nothing really going on. It hasn't really shown anything of serious importance in a while.
Is the gallery your sole means of income? It seems you're.
Here we go. This is the meddling. Roll with presence. I think he likes you.
Seven.
We'll come back to that. Violet, what do you do after you get your tea?
I want to do a 180 on the Andrew and be very kind to him and ask him if he's doing all right with his employer being killed, and if anyone has asked him how he's doing and that kind of stuff.
I like it. That's good. You can do the meddling move with presence.
Come on, dice. 8 and 8.
8. And Beatrice, what do you do after you find the blood-caked rug?
I'm tempted to somehow, I know I shouldn't touch it any more than I already have, but the sheriff doesn't really have anything to evaluate as far as DNA tests or things. There's no science to be had. So I don't know what to tell him. as like evidence-wise, maybe. I think I will go over to Andrew as well and make apologies once more of like, I'm so sorry that it's been so late. I'm sure she's exhausted. Please, here's my card. Let her know that, when Allison's up in the morning, please let her come to shore. I will bring her and we'll go to lunch.
He says, "Oh, I recognize your name. You are also a philanthropist, like."
We've attended many functions together and have always had this delightfully, some would say charming rivalry between the two of us on who's really the best.
Says, "Oh, I shall be certain to deliver the message to her, madam, when she's awake in the morning."
Yes. And with that, maybe I would start to gather us ladies back to the dinghy, as it is probably getting quite late and dangerous on this boat of potential murderers.
I'll give Violet her scene in a moment. I want to check in with Dr. Thibault, though. Dr. Thibault, you're in this office. You're locked in the office. I don't know if this is a Amanda Delacourt analog or not, but maybe it is.
It does remind me of something that happened to Amanda Delacourt.
Very good. The move is triggered. You have to work with the other players to describe how something that is happening in the situation reminds you all of an event from one of the Gold Crown mysteries. At a minimum, you should provide the following information: the name of the Gold Crown mystery in question, the problem or situation Amanda found herself in that's similar to what you're experiencing, and how Amanda eventually overcame the problem or resolved the situation.
Still working on a book title, but I think Amanda found herself trapped in an office of a unscrupulous corporation, and she managed to escape by finding a secret passage behind the bookcase.
Very good. What's the name of the book, though? We gotta have the novel in question group. Alliteration is good. The adjective noun is classic mystery naming structure.
I was going to suggest all bookcases lead to Rome, but
I have a few titles that I was maybe pre-brainstorming, but I don't know if that necessarily here. The mystery of the sleazy skeet shooter, perhaps.
Gripping, no doubt.
I was thinking something like Death and Taxes if it's a corporation.
Ooh, nice.
Death and Taxes is a very mystery-ass sounding name because it's got to play on words. It's an idiom,
I like that.
Okay, Death and Taxes. So it was an office as well, perhaps, that the bookcase was located in. I like it. Yeah. Are you going to take a 12 plus on a meddling move? Is that what you're kind of angling for here? Or are you just trying to escape?
She's trying to escape. So the fact is that there is a secret passage behind the bookcase.
Good.
So
good.
she's looking around under all the shelves, tapping, looking for buttons, and then she finds something, and there's a click.
As you are going through the passage, it actually kind of descends, and you hear what sounds to be like just a regular sort of engine thrum, something from the engine room. But as you're making your way through the passage, looking for the way out, that hum, that mechanical engineering noise begins to sound a little different. It's not a mechanical sound at all. It's the sound of people somewhere deep in the boat. Chanting loud prayer. But maybe not. Could just be your mind playing tricks on you. In any case, it's a void clue. And you are let out in a little stairway that goes up to where the jacuzzi is, where David Krause can be found. And David will say, "Oh, good, another elderly woman. Quite a night for it."
She'll just kind of look over her shoulder, trying to figure out where on the boat she is, and she'll go, yes, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt. Who are you?
I'm David Krause. This is my family's boat. And yet, I'm the one answering questions of you. How funny that is. I was just speaking to your friend here, Ms. Washington. We were talking about all sorts of interesting things, art mostly. She was just asking me if this was my source of income. And I was just about to tell her that art, in fact, is my source of income, underwritten by my father and mother, and that lately our exhibition spaces have been a little empty because I was cut off and I have not been able to acquire new and interesting pieces. Now that, of course, is going to make me look really, really suspicious in the death of my father, but it's not like you were police officers or anything, and this was shared in confidence. It's gallerist old lady confidentiality agreements or something, right?
Well, I
Oh,
could use some
certainly.
more exhibition spaces.
What'd you say?
I said I could use some more exhibition spaces.
He says,
Implying that one hand washes the other. If you exhibit my
like-
art, I can keep my mouth shut.
he winks and says, "Well, this has been a really scintillating evening."
Yes, indeed. Would you happen to know where your mother is, dear?
It's like, "Oh, no, I actually haven't seen her in a few hours. Maybe she might have taken a pill, called it a night, you know?"
Well, it's quite urgent that we speak to her. Would you be able to point us in her direction?
Sure, I guess so. And he'll kind of tell you which cabin she stays in. Where at the boat.
Pleasure to meet you. And
Do I owe
she'll be
you a
already
complication
leaving.
on that? Do I owe you a complication on that clue, Ella?
I think so. I rolled a 7.
Yeah, I think he says, "I tell you what, I'll go with you." And he gets out of the water and he's like, "Andrew, where's my towel?" And Andrew will come and bring a towel and he's drying off. He says, come on. You too, Miss Washington, let's go. Let's go all find my mother. How exciting.
And I'll
Perhaps B and I would have come over with Andrew and joined the are we going down as a squad?
Oh, do you mean Violet? I mean, Violet's actually.
Oh, Violet, yes.
Yeah, Violet was still chatting with Andrew. I still owe Violet a chat with Andrew, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, you can all be together at this point.
I'm going to look lamentably at my empty hot toddy and then Andrew, and then just go along.
Very good, very good. Well, I mean, you're going to get down to the cabin and there's no answer on the door when you knock. Dr. Thibault or B, what do you do?
Andrew, dear, would you have a key?
He says, Do you think something's wrong?
I do. I was nearly assaulted in the lower deck.
Uh, how how out of sorts. Yes, and he will unlock the cabin door, but you see nothing. Not even
Like
signs of a
the room is
struggle.
empty, or
Yes, I mean, just a bedroom.
Allison? Allison, you in here, love?
There's no response.
Could she have gone to the kitchen for a snack? Is this...
He's like, well, this is all very unusual. I don't know. This is all a bit much. I think, Andrew says, I'm going to make an executive decision now and say that it's time for you all to leave.
of course. Please give my regards to Emily and tell her I will call tomorrow.
Indeed, indeed. We've had a lot going on here lately, and this is all just yes. We're gonna have to ask you to leave, and he will assist you all back up the stairs. Violet, you can pull Andrew aside if you wish.
Yeah, especially since he seems even more shook now and off balance, that's when I'll ply him with kindness and put my hand on his arm and ask him if he's okay, and if anyone ever asks him if he's okay, and then sort of descend into a spiral of kindness.
Do a meddling move with presence.
That's a 12, a natural 12.
Oh, very good. He says, this is after everyone's gone topside. I think you're still down below, having pulled him aside. And he says, well, madam, the fact of the matter is some very strange things have been going on. I'm sure you are aware of what happened. They found Mr. Krause's body.
I had heard something of the sort.
Well, I know something, and I didn't tell the police. And, the guilt is eating me alive, but I'm very loyal to the family, even though they can be a bit inconsiderate and uncaring and oblivious to my personal dignity.
Of course,
I'm
of
loyal.
course. And of course, whatever you tell me, chances are when I wake up in the morning, I won't even recall it.
Well, I heard an argument between young Master David and Miss Sarah. They were having some sort of argument on the top deck. I was bringing up the lunch that day, and I don't know what it was about. I couldn't quite make it out, but probably something to do with money, like it always is. But it was very, very heated. And, well, after that was when Mr. Krause went missing. Shortly thereafter.
I'm sure you feel better after saying that.
I do. I do feel better. And now, ma'am, I have to ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Have you ever wondered about what lies beneath the surface of the water?
Well, you've touched on a note there. I tend to dislike looking into the water and only seeing the dark. I like the shallow end where I can see the bits and bobs at the bottom.
Yes, the dark of the deep ocean. Some people would describe it as an inky black void don't you find?
Absolutely.
Imagine, madam, entire world beneath the waves, a realm we do not understand. It presses upon me daily when we're on these trips. I think about it often.
You're wound awfully tight, Andrew.
Yes, well, we have a lot going on, don't we? We need to get you back to your boat.
And I can tell that you have some British in you. That tea was exquisite.
He says, well, I'm actually from Pacoima, but all right.
Osmosis. I throw up my hands.
I think we'll end the session there. But that was another void clue. Andrew's speaking of the void beneath the waves.
Which is the larger mystery.
Yeah, that's connected to the larger, bigger conspiracy.
Was there a mundane clue of an argument between Sarah and David or not?
There was, yeah, some sort of argument between Sarah and David. Yeah. And let's do our little end of session questions here. All right, you have not solved the mystery yet, so no one's getting that. But B, did you share your wisdom with a young person?
Not directly, no.
And did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official? Yes. Going to the even.
I really sarcastically tormented that man for a good hot second.
Yeah. Dr. Thibault, did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official? I would say yes. And did you show someone that you've, quote, still got it?
Discovering the secret passage?
That is true. Yeah, I'll take that. And Ella May, did you share a memory of a late family member? You did.
Yep. And
did you share your wisdom with a young person?
I tried, but whether he's going to listen and learn, I don't know.
I think you did. I think it was good enough. Yeah. And Violet, did you show someone that you've still got it?
I'm not sure if I did, so probably not.
I don't know. Did you share a memory of a late family member?
No, I forgot to even choose my question, so I didn't have them in mind while I was playing.
You could choose them now, post facto, if you want to pick one that would fit with something you did.
Can I ask, do we have a defined what still got it means, or just that, you're
just,
old, but you haven't lost your...
You still got it, yeah. You haven't lost a step, or maybe it's a sexy thing.
I would argue the entire conversation about ghosting was trying too hard to say that you still got it, but I don't know if you got there.
I'm kind of into it. I thought the ghosting conversation was pretty good, because it's like you're still a young, hip person, right? So I think you should take that.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. It seemed to fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you did dote on someone, so if you want to take that one as well, I think that's fair. I thought you had that marked because you were leaning into it so heavily with the butler. So
I had no idea.
Very good. And that's it. We'll do stars and wishes. You all know what stars and wishes are, but for anybody watching the video, stars are things that we enjoyed about the session, something about the game, something about a particular scene or character, and as many things as you wish. Wishes are things that you hope to see in the story next time. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
Well, for me, I liked everybody's characters seem like eclectic but cohesive, and I really liked the star for the sheriff, which seems just like the embodiment of all sheriffs for towns like these, where he cares a little bit but not enough, and acts the way that he does and everything. I thought his characterization was great. In my head, I pictured him as the same actor that plays the Admiral in The Between. And a star for Andrew as well, I think, for putting up with us. And wishes, Probably just more getting a sense for what the town is like during the day, like what kind of resort town it kind of is, I guess would be interesting.
I have a few stars for players. Boring that librarian to tears, so she would just give you what you want, so you went away. That was some really excellent role playing there. And then I also really liked the LMA moment where she's like, "I'm not a celebrity in this town," but that was like also quite excellent. I'm looking forward to this game was a transition for me too, because I kept triggering on both the name Sarah and the name Willoughby throughout. Like occasionally it would just like her. So I'm looking forward to kind of sinking it more into the cozy nature of this particular style of game. I think as little ladies, we were doing a little between crossover danger hunting this evening, and it'll be nice to, like Fraser said, get into the daytime moves and how that works out.
Yeah, that's my wish. I'm ready for this sort of TikTok, the talk part of the TikTok, which is much like in the between. You get conditions, you got to clear them, and so the way that works in this game is you have an intimate moment with another maven while one of you is doing your cozy activity, and it's always like a lighter scene. Except those of you that have Shadow in the Garden marked, that scene has a little weird occult weirdness in the background going on, and so that's always like a really fun thing to role play. As for stars, I really enjoyed the scene between LMA and David. That was really, really fun to role play. I enjoyed the very short time we had with Allison and B. That was really enjoyable. The phone call, kind of just a little like kind of back and forth and kind of needling each other was pretty great. They're even needling each other now still, even though like we don't know where Allison is. I enjoyed that a lot. I thought everybody did a great job with characterizations of, and kind of getting a feel for who their characters are and what they're about. Love the moment where Emily shows up, just that like kind of weird, awkward sort of thing that the characters had to kind of deal with. That was really great. Yeah. And another wish, I'm very interested to find out what is going on with Alison Krauss. I don't know. We'll find out.
I wanted to add some more too. I really like the urn thing where it was, if I die, whatever, but if this urn is shattered, that would be the worst. And then also the moment between Callie and B, when Callie has to clarify that, yes, that is what I was talking about. That was good as well.
Yeah, that was really funny.
I'll jump in with the stars here. When Drew said the boat came back and no one else did, I was like, I want to read this murder mystery already, and we're only 3 lines into it. This is good. So that was terrific. On a more real world thing, just Fraser's concept of a free pie library. Once we're off screen here, I'm going for a long walk, and I'm not coming back until I find some free pie out there in this area. And overall, just great characterization, really fun to sort of see the system that I know as the between, even though I know Brindlewood Bay precedes it. To see that system in a different light is fun.
A personal star for me. I've been running a game of Brindlewood Bay since like March, and so it's really cool to be on the other side of it.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we're just in the Void Mystery now, so
awesome.
It's cool to be starting this up now. Also, I loved Andrew's "I'm from Pacoima." That was great. Also, I was really I enjoyed the rivalry between Allison and B, and as a bit of a meta thing, I was trying to figure out what kind of mystery would involve a lazy skeet shooter. The fact that Ella's husband is buried with his sculpture, that was great, and a soft wish. I want to see that sculpture. I want that to show up. Also, that he died for his art, kind of, I guess. That was great. The librarian scene, I like Violet a whole lot. I think she's going to be fun to see how she deals with her new best friend. And yeah, I'm liking everyone's character and seeing how we all kind of gel into this new group. I think my brain is still in the between a bit, so need a bit more time to go to the more cozy space.
Yeah. I think I did a great job for session one. I mean, it helps that we're like as a group, we're very accustomed to each other, which helps a lot. But it was so smooth just transitioning into like this story. I thought was really, really great. So I didn't expect it to not be, but it just was pleasantly so for sure.
It helps that we were all eagerly creating characters pre.
Yeah.
It's why we're your favorites, right?
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do our homework.
Right, yeah.
What is the Picoult reference?
The what? The Pacoima?
Pacoima, yeah.
Pacoima is a town in California, but it's like a joke. So like the idea is the word Pacoima is funny because it has a P and a K sound in it, because P and K sounds are considered humorous, like they are funny. And
I've
so
heard this joke with Poughkeepsie, same
it's
concept.
Poughkeepsie, yeah, it's
Mhm.
like that, it's that kind of joke, right? Like, and so that's what I was doing, was like, doing that PK joke thing. But yeah, Poughkeepsie is one. There's different towns that like, it's the thing. RuPaul says Pacoima. That's what RuPaul's, he always makes a little Pacoima joke, that's the theory behind it. So, but cool. Well, I had a great time. I'm glad we all got to play Brindlewood Bay, and I'm excited to continue. I'm really happy to see you all again as well. And yeah, we will go ahead and stop the recording.